Welcome. If you're just arriving, please put your name, kids' ages, and your location in the chat. And we're going to be getting started in just a moment here. Okay, I show it as being 11:45. Monique, are you going to get started with some announcements?
I sure can. So hi everybody. Sorry about that, Autumn. So welcome to the breakout. Welcome to the breakout session, Parent Cafe, with the speaker Autumn Bagley. We're glad for you to be here. My name is Monique Vasquez, and I will be moderating today's session. I will be monitoring questions in the chat. If you have any issues, you can send me a direct message through the Zoom chat, and I'd be happy to help. We ask that everyone stays on mute during the sessions unless you have a question or participate in the conversation. This helps reduce background noise. We encourage you to be on video if you can. If not, it's understandable, but it just helps build community. But if you're more comfortable or must be off video for children or any other reasons, definitely understand. If you would like to read the transcript or see close caption I'm sorry, I can't speak today. For this session, please click the button that says CC/live transcript, then choose show subtitle. You can hide the subtitles by repeating the process. So, press the same button. Please share your thoughts, questions, affirmations, or anything that is particularly interesting to you in the chat or through the reaction buttons. Now to introduce our facilitator, Autumn Bagley. Autumn is an advocate for families within the Parent Coalition, Great Start Collaborative, and local leadership group. And you want to help me out? How do you say that?
Genesee County. It's a county. It's in Michigan.
Okay, Genesee County. Citing as a parent for empowering parents to find their voice to advocate for their families. She is a certified child passenger safety technician, trained in family-centered coaching, and certified virtual parent cafe host. She has a Bachelor of the Arts in Management and Organizational Development from Spring Arbor University. Now we'll turn it over to our presenter to start the session. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Monique. So I am excited for you guys to be here. I did see a question in the chat, and I believe she also jumped off. I don't believe we do have Spanish translation for this session. I know it was something that they were trying to get, but I don't think they were able to. So I know when Monique was talking, she was talking about, staying muted, put questions in the chat. I'm really looking for this to be a more informal session. So I am going to invite you guys to unmute. I want to hopefully have some conversations this morning. And part of this session is that chance to get to know other parents and get to meet other people. So to introduce myself, I know Monique read my bio that's put out there. I work in the state of Michigan in parent advocacy. But also I am a parent, and I started off as a parent leader. My kids, my oldest turns 18 next week, and then I also have a 10-year-old. And both of them, I was involved with early childhood when they were toddlers with home visiting here in Michigan. And that's kind of what pulled me into this work and really wanting to work with parents. So that's a little bit about me. And I know most of you are in North Carolina because this is a North Carolina conference, but I know they tap a lot of Michigan talent. So I am excited to be here with you. I also was excited to reach out to some of my friends in North Carolina because some of my friends who I met at Michigan State University now live down there. And I'm sure the weather is nicer down there. Although this is one of the first nice warm days we've had up here in Michigan. It's supposed to hit 80 this afternoon. So that's a little bit about me. Well, I'm not going to get into anything. Okay, thank you, Monique, for also putting in there your kiddos. So I think the one thing to say is just we all have in common is parent. And I always look at parent as being that larger, that bigger term, not necessarily biological parent, but foster parent, grandparent, step parent, even just someone raising and helping be involved in a kid's life. So I will talk a little bit more. I know we'll have some people jumping in late. Let's see. So I said informal. I purposely don't have slides for this. I really want to build that community. So I do want to encourage you to turn off your camera or turn on your camera if you are able, just because when there's a slide, that's always, pulling attention. And I want to get to know you guys. And really what I want to do is help facilitate you guys getting to know each other. So we will give it maybe just a minute here. I'm going to put one more time in the chat. And I do apologize if you were here at the very beginning and you keep seeing me put the same message. I do know though in the Zoom chat that once you get on, you don't see the previous messages. So I want to welcome everyone from looking at those who've put in the chat. I know this is a, early childhood 0 to 5, 0 to 8 conference, but many of us do have older kids in here too. And I know what I have found as my kids have gotten older is it doesn't get easier, but it gets different. So it's just all those different stages. So one thing I wanted to start off with, and it is still morning, so I can stay morning for a few more minutes, is doing a mindfulness or a grounding activity. And I want to invite all of you guys to do that along with me. I really have seen the benefit of mindfulness for myself as well as for my children. And so a thing I always try to do is introduce something that is easy that I can do, but also that I can model even for my youngest kids and for your guys' youngest kids. And yes, I definitely want you to participate, Monique. You got an easy moderating job today because I'm going to just be talking with everybody.
Okay, great. Because I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. I want to join. But I would definitely still be answering questions or,
Yes.
still be helping everybody.
So for the mindfulness or grounding activity, I call it finger trace. I don't know if it's got an official name. But what I like about this, especially when my kids were younger, is it's not counting. Sometimes we'll have kids count their breath or even ourselves. You don't have to count. You don't have to physically look at anything. And what it is you just hold your hand, and you always have your hand with you. And you trace your hand with your finger. So it gets a little bit of a tactile sensation in, as well as a breathing sensation. And what you do is you slowly go up, and as you go up a finger, you breathe in, you pause at the tip of your finger, and you hold that breath, and then you slowly breathe out as you go down. And it gets you, as you make your way around your finger or hand, it's gonna get you those 5 breaths. So we'll start here and just start breathing in, and hold, and then breathe out. And in, and hold, and out. And in, hold, and out. Breathe in, hold, and out. And last one, breathe in, hold, and out. And I know for me, that brings a little bit of calm. If you're not able to, if you want to unmute and share how you feel after doing that, or put in the chat. Jasmine, I saw you following along.
Yeah, I was trying to.
And how old are your kids? You've got a 4-year-old?
Yes,
Jasmine?
big time
Okay.
4. Full of
Okay.
personality.
So what I like about that, I like that I can do it with my kids, and I can even hold their hand and do this, trace it with them. But like I said, when I first started, you don't have to count. You don't have to, it doesn't take much, but I know, especially for my son, my 10-year-old, he is high energy, high needs, and has a few special needs as well. But it is something that I still will do with him to help just kind of calm down, kind of get centered. So then we can kind of move on and do something else. And I think just finding those ways, both for ourselves as parents, as well as to help for our children, to just kind of calm down and, center ourselves and help us regulate our emotions, as well as help our children regulate our emotions.
Yeah. I like if my daughter gets upset, like if she's about to, become very emotional, I tell her just breathe, take a deep breath,
Yep.
take it out. And it really does calm her. Because before
Yes.
she starts crying, get upset, I'm like, Lily, just breathe. Take a deep breath, and it works. So loving it.
It's amazing what breathing can do for us. Okay, welcome, Melissa. I'm so glad that your two-year-old also participated while we did that activity. So I want to welcome anyone that is getting on a little bit late. I know the last sessions did run over. This is going to be a mini parent cafe for the next hour. And I'm going to start. Thank you for putting in there how old your kids are. Please do that if you haven't yet. Kind of talk a little bit about what the purpose of a parent cafe is. And I really want to draw this back to the keynotes this morning, because I've been able to join in I've joined in on the keynotes and then on a presentation in the last session for part of it. And I know I was inspired by listening to Dr. Aruka and Dr. Tickmore. And a few of the things that really kind of drew my attention that I kind of want to bring together and kind of pull out in this cafe. One is that you guys are the experts. You know your families, you know the systems that you interact with, and that your experiences really matter. And I think that's such an important thing to always bring forward and always be honoring and thinking about. I love the concept of cultural capital. And I really want to think about how are you using that for your family? And then how are you building that for yourself and your family? I think usually out of necessity is when that comes in. And I haven't thought about it in that term necessarily, but that's what helps us survive and even thrive as parents and as families, and really be able to do some of this work for the bigger systems change. And then the last thing was talking about engaging youth. And I feel like a lot of times when we're talking about parent engagement, yes, we're all here because we have kids, but a lot of times we don't talk about how we are engaging our kids and how we are building that next generation. And really what I want for all of you, and what I'm hopeful for with North Carolina kicking this off with this conference, is really to have that support to help you guys advocate for your families, for the families around you. But then also when your kids see that as you modeling that your kids are going to be able to advocate for themselves. And I think that is an amazing thing. And for those that were here at the beginning, I shared, I have a older child who turns 18 next week, as well as a 10-year-old. And one of the biggest pride things for me as a parent is when I see my kids advocating for themselves in polite and also useful and successful ways. Like actually, not necessarily that I said, hey, do this, but that they saw me doing this and they had learned from that. I have seen that with my younger child, which really helps because he has some special needs. And for me, it's always you need to speak up. I can't always be there to be your voice. So anyway, that was some from the keynote this morning that I really want to pull in. And the purpose of a cafe is to help you build your protective factors. Parent cafes, often the name cafe is just used to be a conversation. And like I said, this is going to be a mini version. But Parent Cafe is actually a model that is Be Strong Families has created. And it's really based on protective factors. And I'm going to put into the chat the Strengthening Families Protective Factors. There are 5 of them. And one of the things I love about this is it's not, what's lacking in your life, not what can we provide you, what can we give to you, but really looking at what is there in your life that is strong, what is there that you're doing well at. And so those 5 protective factors, and they can also go back to that hand. I've seen where they do each finger and talk about which one each one is. But one of them is parental resilience. So, the fact that life throws at you everything that it throws at you as a parent, and you can come back and do more. Social connections, that you've got that network, that cultural capital, that group of people that are there to help you. And it's not necessarily a system from the government. It's not even necessarily your family you were born into. I often think about the family that I've created around me and my children. Knowledge of parenting and child development. A lot of times I feel like this is what systems focus on. They really want to give us classes and help us be the best parent we can. And nothing is wrong with that. I love learning from research. I love finding new ways to parent that are more effective. But that's just one prong of how to be a strong family and really help your families. Concrete supports in times of need. I think that's the other one that gets focused on. That's when we go somewhere for some services or some support, usually systems-based. Sometimes it's more informal. And then that last one is social and emotional competence of children, which sounds kind of long, but really it's understanding your kids, understanding how your kids operate, and helping connect with those emotions and those big feelings that they have, no matter what age your children are. So those are the 5 protective factors. In a standard parent cafe model, I'm really kind of jealous of like the old time when it would be in person and we'd be in a room together and I'd have all you guys sitting at tables together. But the way that it has ran in the past, like we'd have a series of meetings and we would focus on one of those each time. And so our discussion would really get in depth around each of those. And like I said, today's going to be mini. We're going to have some time to break out and talk a little bit more. But really the whole purpose of a cafe is to help build those protective factors, as well as help connect you. Like if you look at those 5 and you're like, oh, this, say social connections, I really don't have a good friend support network. Once you identify that and you're really like, yeah, I think I would do better if I had those people around me to help me. How can you get those resources? What is there around you? And I don't have those resources today like I normally would if I was doing this here locally, but I will say I know there's resources that are being shared through this conference. So I really want you to reach out. I want you to get all those things. And I just gave that social connections as an example, whatever it is for you. I will say, let's see, my youngest is 10. So 10 years ago, social connections was my lowest one. I realized I had moved away from family. I had a new baby. I didn't know. I mean, I knew in general what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing though. I was a new mom and I didn't have that close support network. And ironically, one of my closest friends was one of them that moved to North Carolina. So I had lots of conversations with her, but it wasn't like she could be there with me. So that's a little bit about the protective factors and strengthening families. I am going to put one of the things when we do these conversations, whoops, if I can grab the right thing here. Okay. I'm going to put agreements in the chat. So when we have these conversations, we really want to have respectful conversations. And often it's more moderated, but like I said, today we're going to be a little bit more laid back. Awesome, Abby. I'm so glad that you're in here too. And if you want to participate, I will also put you into groups and participate as well, even though I know you're here for technical needs. So agreements, speaking from your own experience. When we're having these conversations, you want to be talking about what you have had happen, not necessarily what your friend had happen or what something else that has went on or that you heard about. Listen attentively. When the other participants are talking, you want to hear their stories, just as when you're talking, you want them to hear you. Because part of it is the talking, but part of it is the being heard. No judgments, positive or negative. And that can be difficult. And I will add to this, it's not just when you're hearing other people, no judgments on yourself. A lot of times we live really hard on ourselves as parents and what we think we could do or should do, as well as don't give advice. So this is a facilitated conversation to talk about parenting, to share, to be heard. It's not necessarily to solve each other's problems. Now, when I talked about connecting to resources, I can say that the connections you might make will lead to kind of solving those problems and further conversations outside of here, where maybe there will be some advice, but within the facilitated parent conversations, for the cafe conversations, we don't give any advice. And confidentiality. What we say here stays here. I always do need to say, in my job, I am a mandated reporter. I've never had a cafe conversation where there's been something I feel I need to, share or to reach out for. I do feel the need to say that, but it really is that confidentiality, knowing you've got that safe place to talk and to share with others and to be present. If this was an in-person cafe, I'd be saying, just turn your phones off, put them, so that you can really focus. I know you guys are all at your own houses, you've got kids around. I know there's other things that are probably pulling some of your attention, but as much as possible to stay present in the conversation. Okay, so what we are going to do, it's telling me my internet is unstable. Okay, well, hopefully you guys can still hear me. Thank you for putting in that you agree for all those agreements. That is the other thing, is just to really be able to all say like, yes, you can agree to that you're willing to participate and interact in this way. The next thing I'm going to do before we break out to the bigger conversations is we're going to do one-on-ones. And as I had people come in, I had you put your name and, your kids' ages in the chat, just so I can get a little bit of idea of who's in the room. Because honestly, I really want to hang out and talk with each and every one of you, but that is not my purpose today. But I want you guys to get to know each other. So what I'm going to do, let me put this in the chat. We're going to do active listening one-on-one activity. And what I'm going to do is put you guys in breakout rooms for about 5 minutes with one other person, and it'll just be randomly assigned. And when you get in there, you can share your name again, talk about, your kids and your ages, so you know where you're coming from. But I want you to have a conversation about something you learned this morning or that you're planning to do because of something you learned this morning. And I want you to take that time to listen to each other, not interrupt, practicing all of those things that we talked about. So does anyone have any questions before I put you out into breakout rooms? Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you had some time to have a conversation, get to know another parent that is here.
Yes, briefly.
Briefly, yes. It feels short usually. Does anyone want to unmute and share something of like how that felt, or not necessarily sharing anything of what the other person said, but just either something of your own or how that experience was?
Sure, I will. My name is Natasha. I'm in Durham County, and I briefly was able to speak to another parent. I have a 6-year-old, 11-year-old, and an adult son who is on his own, 24-year-old, and she has little babies. And we were just basically discussing our day and how we've been in good sessions.
Awesome.
Because we both came in from the holistic session that did not resume because of the presenter wasn't able to connect. So we came on the tail end of the breakout. But I have really thoroughly enjoyed it today. Even though it's been a long day, it's been actually smooth transitions. I've enjoyed this.
Awesome.
This. So we discussed that
area
everything.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Natasha. So Area, I think you had unmuted, if I'm saying that right, I hope.
Yes, ma'am. It was just nice to connect on this, technology. And I spoke with Miss Allison, who's also a parent of 2, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. And it was just amazing because it's such a small world. She is from the same area that my husband is from, in Smithfield. So that was kind of nice because Smithfield is kind of small. So it's just neat that you can connect with someone. And then we were able to discuss what we're most impacted by. And then I shared that the advocacy piece, that was most helpful. And I know Allison is interested in, being able to connect on her local level, to be able to serve. I know she shared like she's done with state level, but local is helpful because she wants to have her children to come along with her. And that's important. And so I just enjoyed the session so far today, and I look forward where this might lead.
Awesome. Thank you. Jasmine, I see your hand is up. Feel free to unmute.
Oh, hey, wait, am I mute? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. It was a really good. I never knew. I'm from the southern parts. Michigan's a little northerner. So, but it was cool about how much we had in common. Like we really did in our experiences. So it was good to connect with another parent and hear, that things could be the same. It doesn't matter your location. And, it puts it in perspective. But I mean, this session, the entire thing has just been, I would say, eye-opening, and the enlightenment has been really, things I've never thought about, now I'm thinking about that can improve my life and enrich my daughter's life. So this has been really, really good. And I appreciate y'all doing this.
Glad to hear that. So any other thoughts on that one-on-one quick little session? Okay. Well, that was just to give you a taste. we are going to be doing a little bit longer breakout session. And the way it works, so if those of you that were here at the beginning, I talked about like in person, if we did a parent cafe, you know, we'd all be in a room together, there'd be some snacks, it'd be lovely. We'd all be sitting at tables, and on those tables, there would be cards like this, and they would have some questions for you to choose from. And actually, I went through the cards this morning while I was listening to the keynotes, just to pick out some questions that I thought would somewhat connect and would help. And would kind of tie it together, what you guys have been learning today. So I am going to be putting 3 questions in the chat, and then we're going to be doing 2 breakout rooms. So there will be, I believe, 5 or 6 people in each room. And what you will do is that group of 5 or 6 is you will just, you will look at those 3 questions, and you will decide as a group which one you want to talk about. Ideally, for the full amount of time, you talk about one. Completely understand though if the conversation kind of goes off, then you know it goes to whatever. It just kind of gives you that starting point. And I am picking ones under that social connections, because I really do feel that making connections is such an important thing that's often undervalued for parents. The other thing I want to say, I know you guys made some connections, and I'm not sure how everything's getting shared with this conference, because it is such a large conference. But if you do meet someone, and even if they're not like right close to you, but close enough that you'd like to keep connection, I want to invite you guys to, you know, share information. Even though we're not in the same room, where that would be a little bit more, you know, I'd pull out my phone and I'd say, hey, let me text you. But feel free to do that informally if you feel that desire. So the questions that we're going to be discussing in this next breakout. How does an acquaintance become a friend? That's question number 1. Okay. Who assists you with being a good parent, and how do they do that? I think we all know we don't do this alone, and usually have someone else. And then the third one is, how do you build a network of support that you can depend on? So those are the 3 questions to think about. I am going to put you guys in rooms for 15 minutes, and I will jump in just to check in, make sure everything's going okay. I will also put my moderators here if they wish to. I don't think it'll let me not divide you. So if you don't want to be in a room with the parents, jump back in here with me. Any questions before I do that? Okay. Awesome. Well, go have some great conversations, and I look forward to talking to you all again in about 15 minutes. Oh, hold on. Okay, there we go. Oh, I didn't hit enter. Oh, I don't know if that'll go to everybody. Hopefully it does.
Hi, Autumn. It looks like we just have one person back.
Yep.
Bernice.
Oh, I just realized, let me assign you. I will send you that link right now. It should be telling you, Bernice, to go. Send you an invite to join room number 2. There we go. Okay. So welcome back, everyone. I hope you had some good conversations around those topics. And I am going to just open it up to feel free to unmute, share. If you want to share details of what you guys talked about, connections that were made, thoughts on how that went, any of that.
I was just interested in finding a local, like another parent cafe, not, you know, exactly called a parent cafe. And so it was, you know, great that the other parents in my group, they gave me the information that maybe I can, you know, join a group like this, because this, you know, conference again has been amazing, and connecting with another parent is such a great thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Jamie was saying, so I was in her group, and so we basically were talking about the acquaintance to a friend. And so even though I'm from Michigan and they were all from NC, we definitely exchanged information and, you know, and just talked about each other, because, you know, parents do need support.
Yes.
So So hopefully, maybe, possibly, even if we stay acquaintances with each other's information,
Hey,
it might be something more.
become
I
friends.
might be going to North Carolina visiting all
Yes.
you guys.
We're by the beach, so you'll have fun.
Oh, girl.
Now's
Okay.
the time. Now's the
I'll be
time,
there either
Monique,
way.
before the heat comes. I told her,
Yes.
come on now before it start getting hot.
Oh, I know. That's true. This is the perfect timing. But and I loved how y'all's stories were different, not to put your information out there. So definitely, being a mother too. I think it was 5 children and having your hands full. I think I could learn a lot from that. And then raising a child that you got, in later date and seeing how I just think that's amazing. And it'd be an amazing story to hear more about.
Oh, definitely. Connections, networking is what we do. Parent leadership, definitely networking. So yeah, I appreciate the conversation. Thank you, Autumn, for putting me in that breakout.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you guys had some good conversations and that you connected and traded information. How about some voices from the other group?
We just shared I shared mostly about how I've had to create my own community. I'm not from Michigan, even though I live here. And while I have 8 amazing sisters, none of them live here. So creating that, and then I presented with 2 young ladies earlier who have become a part of my system. And we met in a parent group. Autumn was a part of that parent group. And all of us, have stayed, connected, and we do different things and get to see each other, grow and do different things. So I was just, you guys heard me saying, hi, Autumn. But we all met years ago in a parent networking group, and we've all stayed in touch, and we've all grown and done different things. And then my neighbors are some of my favorite people in the world. When I move, I want to take them with me. They become part of my parenting journey. Literally, we trade meat and eggs, and if my son's outside, I don't have to worry that he's outside because I know they have them like I have them. I have their kids as well. So yeah, just sharing.
So you actually feel part of a community. You have your little. That's a blessing. Yeah. That is a blessing.
But it was hard. Yeah, I'm scared of people, and I'm a little socially awkward, but we have to take risks because we can't do it on our own.
That's amazing that you're even sharing that, because I'm kind of the same way. So, I'll go with your cue, get to know your neighbors, and then branch out, join a parent group.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for sharing all that, Monica. I am envious of you having that neighborhood thing, because that's the thing that I still haven't made it quite over that job. I can go to a parent meeting and I can talk to parents, but just going to someone just raw, not so much. But I need to do that. Because it does, it is having that whole village. It is having everyone around you there to help support. Yeah. So is there anyone else that wanted to add to things you got out of this or conversation pieces? I jumped in to make sure both groups were doing good. It was good to connect with Evie a little bit as well. I am going to put my contact information in the chat. It's my personal email address if anyone does want to reach out or anything. I didn't get to know you all as well. Like I said, I love to participate in parent cafes, but I also love facilitating them and making those connections. But I am here to help connect as best that I can. Even if I'm not as familiar with North Carolina, I can reach out and try to get those resources for you if you need something.
Good.
Yes. And so I am excited. I am hopeful. The fact they wanted me here because I do parent cafes, I'm hopeful that in North Carolina, they're going to be doing some parent cafe trainings and hopefully facilitating some, because I do think it is an amazing concept and a good way to spark those conversations. I've often said, I feel like as an adult, it is hard to make friends. And for me, it was easy to have friends in high school and friends in college. And then I moved away from all of them and had kids. And so my initial friendships was just kids the same age. It's you interact with people that have kids the same age as your kids. And sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. So much like Monica brought out, I am thankful for the community that I've been able to build, for the parents that, I mean, my youngest is 10, and so it means probably been, he was like 2 when I got involved, I think, Monica. So yours was little and new, and yeah. So it's that long-term, even if we're across the state, not necessarily neighbors with each other, we know we're there for each other. And it's great to have that community of people seeing their kids grow, them seeing their kids grow. It's great if you do have like that family that's close, or if I find it rare to find the people that have that and have that support that really is what sounds ideal. And I think what Monica said, it wasn't easy. I think that's always something like this doesn't just happen. It does have to have some intentionality behind it. But I know we are almost out of time. I hope you guys found this useful. I'm not sure what the next steps are. I think Monique probably is going to talk a little bit. I think there's one closing session, or maybe Abby, I'm not sure who.
Yeah. So
I am just so
thank
glad
you
that you guys were able to spend this time with us.